You're 23, maybe 24. You've got a job, some friends, a phone full of plans you'll get to eventually. And somewhere in the back of your head, you have this quiet assumption that you're still at the beginning, that the real stuff hasn't started yet. That assumption is the most expensive mistake you'll ever make. Here's what nobody tells you about your 20s. They don't feel like they're passing. They feel like they're waiting. And that feeling, that comfortable, patient feeling, is exactly what makes them disappear. We'll come back to that, but first I need to show you something. There's a concept in psychology called the telescoping effect. It's the reason your childhood feels like it lasted forever, but last year feels like a blur. When you're young, almost everything is new. New school, new friend, new fear, new embarrassment. Your brain encodes all of it. That's why summer break at age 10 felt like an entire lifetime. But here's what happens as you get older. Novelty shrinks. Routines expand. You start doing the same things, seeing the same people, thinking the same thoughts. And when that happens, your brain stops bothering to record it. Why would it? It's seen this before. This is why your 20s will feel like they lasted about 3 months. Not because you're doing nothing. You might be working hard, building something, genuinely trying. But if you're doing the same thing every week, same job, same scroll, same Saturday, your brain is filing all of that under one folder. And in memory, it compresses into almost nothing. The people who remember their 20s vividly, they weren't the people who had the most money or the cleanest apartment. They were the people who kept doing things for the first time. But here's where it gets darker. Because the problem isn't just that your 20s are forgettable. The problem is that your 20s are also the only decade where your decisions have compound interest. I'll explain exactly what I mean by that. But you need to hear the story of two people first. Marcus and Daniel. Same hometown, same college, same GPA. At 22, they both graduated with no idea what they were doing. Both felt lost. Both spent about 6 months complaining about it. Then their paths split, not dramatically. There was no one big decision. It was a series of tiny ones. Marcus started saying yes to things that scared him. A freelance project that felt above his level. A city he didn't know. A conversation with someone he had nothing in common with. Not because he had a plan. He didn't, but because he decided that comfort was the enemy. And discomfort was just data. Daniel waited. Not lazily. He was actually productive. He read the right books. He made the right LinkedIn posts. He told himself he was building a foundation, but really, he was just staying in the safe, familiar, comfortable version of himself, waiting for the right moment to actually start. At 28, Marcus had scars. He'd failed at things publicly. He'd moved twice. He'd changed his mind about what he wanted 3 times. He was behind on his original plan, but he knew exactly who he was. Daniel had a great resume, an annoying feeling that he'd been holding his breath for 6 years. This is the trap. The 20s don't punish you for being lazy. They punish you for being comfortable. And comfort is the one thing they offer in unlimited supply. Okay. Stop. I want you to actually think about this for a second, not think about it. The way you think about something while you're watching a video. I mean, actually pause the noise in your head and ask yourself one question. What is the most uncomfortable thing you've been avoiding for the last 6 months? Not the hardest thing, not the smartest thing, the most uncomfortable thing. The thing that you've been getting to eventually, the conversation, the project, the change, the move. The thing you have a dozen logical reasons to postpone. Because that thing, whatever just came into your head, is probably the most important thing you could do this year. Here's why. By 35, your life is mostly built. Not locked, but mostly built. Your career has momentum in one direction. Your relationships have roots or they don't. Your habits have become your personality. The decisions you make in your 30s are mostly just managing what you built in your 20s. This is the part that should terrify you. Not in a paralyzing way, but in a clarifying way. Every year in your 20s that you spend optimizing for comfort is a year you spend pointing yourself in the wrong direction. And then at 30, 31, 32, you wake up and realize You have to fight against the current instead of flowing with it. You can still change, but it costs more. Everything costs more. A 22-year-old who starts building in the right direction has 7 years of compound interest by 29, 7 years of skills, networks, identity, clarity. That's not just a head start. That's a different game. The uncomfortable truth is this. You have more time than you think you have right now, and far less than you'll wish you had in 10 years. Let me be specific because vague advice is useless. The 3 things that silently consume your 20s. 1. Optimization without action. Reading about productivity, planning the plan, building the perfect system before you build anything real. Optimization is how intelligent people procrastinate without feeling like procrastinators. You're not lazy. You're just confusing motion for progress. 2. Social friction avoidance. Every relationship that actually changes your life is slightly uncomfortable to start. The mentor you didn't email, the room you didn't walk into, the conversation you made small because you were afraid of rejection. Your 20s are the most socially permeable decade of your life. People expect you to be figuring it out, so there's less judgment, more openness. You can reach further than you think. Most people don't reach at all. 3. Identity stagnation. The version of you that existed at 18 made certain decisions. What you studied, who you dated, what you told yourself about who you are. In your 20s, you are allowed to completely contradict that version. You're supposed to, but most people carry their 18-year-old identity like it's a legal contract. It's not. You can fire yourself and rehire yourself into a completely different role. Most people never do. Here's the thing I've been building toward this entire video. Your 20s aren't a runway. They're not a holding pattern before real life starts. They are the real life. They are the most neuroplastic, most socially open, most forgiving decade you will ever have. Your brain is still forming. Your identity is still negotiable. Your mistakes are still cheap. That changes. The people who look back on their 20s with regret don't regret the risks they took. They regret the risks they talked themselves out of. The safe choice every single time. The version of their life that was comfortable but forgettable. Don't be forgettable to yourself. You're already spending your 20s. That part's not optional. The only question is what you're spending them on. And if something came into your head earlier when I asked about the thing you've been avoiding, go do that this week. Not eventually. This week.